A new Barry Allen? The Flash, Season 3 Fallout. How's it going, everybody? RazMansReality coming back at you here with another video on The Flash. How you doing? Great to see you. And if this is your first time here and you want more unbiased reviews and discussion, then be sure to click that subscribe button and ring that bell notification icon so that you don't miss anything. Well, you wouldn't know this if you watched my previous The Flash video that I'm not too happy about the ending chosen by the show creators. Perhaps I was being too harsh because we may have had an opportunity given to us that no one expected. So let's just jump right in to the... It opens up right with the leave off from the closing moments of the next to last episode last week, where we see Iris dead in Barry's arms, only to have it be revealed as HR. That's right, for those of you like myself who in private called that for weeks and weeks and weeks, congratulations to us all. We absolutely nailed it. And you know what? This was a case where the writers probably shouldn't have introduced that transmogrifier so early on, because it just made it really obvious what they were going to do, especially when that very same episode the week before we see Barry become Lila from changing his entire body. It's just like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. Iris isn't going to die. So a little bit of a predictability factor here, but a nice art for HR, so I was fine with that. So of course Savitar now is in a bit of a panic because Iris didn't die, or you would think that he would be in a panic because Iris didn't die. It turned out that he stole the Speed Force cannon, and that's why he's been keeping Cisco alive this whole time. He wants Cisco to alter the Speed Force cannon, or sorry, Speed Force bazooka. That's what they officially changed the name to. I'm used to it being called Cannon most of Season 3. But anyway, he wants Cisco to alter the Speed Force bazooka to become a temporal displacing slicer. And what that will allow him to do is basically be scattered everywhere throughout time and live forever. So that is Savitar's plan B. Meanwhile, we see the team back at Star Labs, where Barry and Iris discovered that the article once again reads Iris West Allen as the byline writer. So Joe says, does this mean what I think it means? And Barry says, yeah, Joe, the future is ours again. So they're very happy and very celebratory because Iris has survived. And of course they should be happy that Iris survived, but I thought it was a little bit strange that they were this happy and paid so little attention to the dude that's been with them for the entire year. I thought that was a little, not callous, but a little bit more of a, oh, HR was never a main character, we don't have to mourn him. But they covered that later on. But in the moment, it was just a little bit uncomfortable. We then see Barry back in the time vault here, and he's basically realizing that in order to defeat Savitar, because, you know, they can't just sit around and wait for Savitar to have the time aberration catch up to him and disappear. He realizes that to defeat Savitar, he's going to have to do something besides hate him. So I thought it was very poetic to have him stare at Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash's costume right here, while he's discovering that, and while he's talking about another, I guess at this point in the show, former enemy or more or less antagonist for the team now, and Captain Cold, and talking about advice that Captain Cold gave him. It was probably my favorite scene in the episode besides this one. This is Barry's plan. He says, well, Savitar is a part of me. I basically am Savitar. So what I need to do is appeal to him, find the goodness in him, and convince him that I can help him. So he shares a memory, a favorite memory of his, between himself, his mother, and his father. and asks Savitar what is the name of that town. Savitar slowly looks back at him and says Maryville. So I thought that was very, very well done. Another comic Easter egg right there by the writers. And just a really cool moment. Probably my favorite scene from the entire episode, bar none, because it shows who the Flash is and always will be at its core, which is the hero, seeing the good in everyone. So Savitar then comes back to Star Labs and starts talking about memories that he has from his future when he was Time Generation Barry, and says to them something very poignant, which we'll get into later on. But yeah, the point is he has memories of being at Star Labs, and he basically is having the team try to convince him that they are going to help him. And he's like, well, that's great. If you're going to help me, then what kind of life am I supposed to lead? Like, how do we explain me at the wedding? Do I just rejoin Team Flash, go catch some rogues? How do we explain to the Flashes? Like, he's asking all these questions, and Barry's like, well, I don't exactly have all the answers yet, but we'll figure it out together. And then Savitar says, no, not together. There's such a thin line between love and hate. It's easy to get the two mixed together. And then he goes off and starts launching his plan B. And the start of that is to unleash the Philosopher's Stone inside of Star Labs, which causes Star Labs to go haywire. After Savitar returns to his lair, for lack of a better way to put it, wherever his suit was that he'd been keeping Cisco and Caitlin, and tells Caitlin that it went the way he expected it to, that he shouldn't have expected anything different from the situation. Cisco is desperately trying to convince Caitlin that, hey, he's going to turn on you once he's done with you because he's a bad guy and that's what bad guys do. And Caitlin is about to go full on Killer Frost on him and freeze him right then and there, you know, Kaputski for Cisco. And then Gypsy shows up, and Gypsy advised Cisco across the multiverse of being in danger, and says that she knew Cisco was in danger because they are connected. So not only are they teasing their relationship and going to further that probably in season 4, but also confirming that all those with the same ability do have some sort of connection in the DC TV universe. So I thought that was pretty cool there. We then cut to Savitar and Caitlin. Caitlin is there to help Savitar because once Savitar unleashes this portal to try to be shot into, he knows that the Black Flash is going to come out, and the one thing that the Black Flash can't resist is cold. So Caitlin goes full on Killer Frost on the Black Flash, says, see you later, Hunter. So that's pretty cool because it means that someone else will have to take on the Black Flash mantle in the future, and whoever that person is will probably get a really long, deep story arc on the show, because you can't not have the Black Flash to protect the Speed Force and protect time. So I thought that was a really cool thing that the writers did right there. Of course, it doesn't go as Savitar's planned. As you can see, when Caitlin is shooting him here with the gun, he does not get sucked into the portal, and it's because, as Cisco tells him, as Cisco has brought the team after telling the team what Savitar's plan is, that he rewired the Speed Force bazooka just as Savitar wanted him to, but he turned it into a skeleton key and a way to free Jay Garrick. So Jay is now free, and that's how he comes out of the Speed Force to attack Savitar here. Savitar, in a panic, starts to run, and then we get the iconic moment of the 3 biggest members of the Flash family Barry Allen, the Flash, Wally West, Kid Flash, and Jay Garrick, Classic Era / Earth 2, the Flash, all together fighting Savitar. That was awesome. That was awesome. Please let us see more of that in the future. Greg Berlanti and crew. That was great. Eventually they get to the point where Barry jumps in to Savitar's suit, which was really cool. He jumps into Savitar's suit and it starts glowing red energy, which tells me that red is not only synonymous with the Barry Allen Flash, but also supposedly synonymous perhaps with goodness within the Speed Force, because when Savitar is in it, it glows blue energy. So I thought that was a really cool twist there. And you see here in this moment, he's about to run him through, and Savitar's yelling at him saying, "Do it, do it. You kill me, you become me. Either way, I live." And then Vibration City, suit destroyed. I will never let the darkness engulf me. I will never let it control who I am. I will never become you. Savitar doesn't quite give up just yet, and then Iris shoots Savitar in the back. A lot of people were upset by this, that Iris was the one to quote-unquote defeat Savitar. They thought it was very weird, but to that I say it actually flows really nicely, because in the first episode of Season 3 Flashpoint, a version of Joe West saves Barry Allen, and in this episode Iris West saves Barry Allen. In Joe West's case it was Edward Claris, and in Iris West's case it's Savitar. So I actually thought that was really, really smart, and again just shows you how good the writing is on this show. Even in a situation where they did something that, as I mentioned in the intro portion, I didn't particularly want them to do, it shows you that they always have a game plan, even if at times it feels like they're all over the place with this show. This show, more than any other, although Arrow was much better this season, and of course we'll talk about the Arrow Season 5 finale tomorrow, but I really think that the Flash, the Team Flash writing, Team Flash is just always so on point and always knows exactly what they're going to do. We then get HR's funeral, where Barry tells Cisco that HR wanted Cisco to know that he gave him the courage to do what he needed to do. So that was a pretty cool moment and a pretty nice bow on HR's heart. Caitlin showed up, and Cisco and the team, particularly Julian, is trying to convince her to come back, and she's like, "Guys, look, I'm sorry, I'm not Caitlin anymore." And Barry's like, "Yeah, but you're not Killer Frost." And Caitlin's like, "No, I'm not Killer Frost. I am something else right out of Arrow, and have to figure out what that something else is on my own." So that should be really interesting to see what kind of anti-hero or not vigilante, because I think she'll be more good than bad, but kind of like a Captain Cold type of arc for Caitlin that they come up with in Season 4. I'm actually really looking forward to that, despite her not being given the Killer Frost origin with the wiping of Flashpoint that I thought she should have originally. And then of course we get exactly what we thought we would get at this point. The Speed Force is going insane because it's unstable without someone in the Speed Force prison. We see the Speed Force storm raining down, and people are thinking, oh my god, they're doing the Speed Force storm. Does that mean we're going to get a bunch of speedsters? Is Godspeed coming? Well, Godspeed will come. I think he absolutely will come, but he won't be coming until the end of Season 4, maybe even the start of Season 6 even, just depending on how long they want to continue to drag on the storyline of the aftermath of the Speed Force Lightning Storm. But the reason I say that is because the producers have already come out and say that we're not going to have a speedster as the main villain this year for season 4, which is entirely refreshing and definitely what the show needs. And who is coming? Well, who better to be a main non-speedster villain than Defoe, aka the Thinker. We even get Savitar Barry, future Barry, telling us right in the middle of the episode, this is where we came up with the device that helped us bring down Defoe. Barry says, who? And Savitar Barry says, you're not there yet. So the Thinker is coming. I will have more on that in a future video, so stay tuned for that in a few days. We'll talk all about his comic history and who he is and why he's so important to the future of the show. But Barry, of course, realizes that someone has to stabilize the Speed Force, so he goes in to accept his penance because this all started with him in Flashpoint. So it brings us to the conundrum that I talked about in how the Flash will defeat Savitar, my earlier video where I wanted Flashpoint, and I talked about if this was the reason that they're going to have Savitar be defeated, like if this was the conclusion to the season was Barry going into the Speed Force, why would the Speed Force suddenly let Barry out? Well, I think the answer that we got is in the form of the show using Barry going into the Speed Force, becoming one with it, and developing all new powers and all new, deeper understanding, which will bring him closer to the Barry Allen we all know and love from the comics, essentially creating a new Barry Allen right out of the pages of the Wally West era in the comics, when Wally did the same thing to save his longtime love, Linda Park. And by Wally, I mean the original Ginger Wally West. So I'm actually really excited once I figured out what they were doing. Like the way that the Speed Force showed up in the form of Barry's mother made it very, very easy to understand what the show was doing. So yeah, I don't think there's a reason to panic here at all. So if you would like another video on just that particular storyline, how that works, and how the Ginger Wally West became stronger from going through that experience, let me know that in the comment section down below as well. But that's how I think we're going to get a new Barry Allen on the Flash TV show, as my title suggested. So what did you all think of the Flash Season 3 finale? Everybody, let me know that in the comment section down below. Let me know if you think Defoe is coming, or if you think the show is just swerving us and they're going to go in a different direction. Do you think there's a different reason that they took Barry into the Speed Force? There's so many questions to answer here, so let's talk about them all down below in the comment section. And while you're there, please consider giving this video a like by giving it that thumbs up. It is greatly appreciated if you enjoyed the video. Thanks so very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so by hitting the round icon down below me. And if you want more unbiased reviews and discussion right now, you can click the videos to the right of me. And as always, this has been your RazMansReality Check.